Does your child seem to live on macaroni and cheese and chicken nuggets? As a family physician, one of the most common concerns I heard from parents was that of children being picky eaters. Today, we'll address some common truths and myths about picky eaters and reveal how to best create a pleasant mealtime with tactics to maximize the likelihood of expanding the variety of foods enjoyed. First belief: pickiness is simply willful behavior. This is a myth. Children can be picky or selective eaters for a variety of reasons. It may be that the food has a different look, smell, texture, or taste than other foods they're used to. They may have a food allergy or food intolerance. They may have had a bad experience with a food, such as a close call choking on a cheese stick, and now they're afraid of foods with a similar consistency. They may simply not be hungry because they had a snack or a glass of milk close to the mealtime. Or they may have heard a family member complain that they don't like a particular food, so then they themselves decide that they must not like it either. The important thing is to not turn your table into a battlefield by refusing to let your child leave until they clear their plate. Next belief: if a child doesn't like a food after 5 tries, he or she is never going to like that food. This is also a myth. Many children need to be exposed to a food 10 to 20 times before they learn to like it. So what is meant by exposure to a food? This does not mean forcing them to chew and swallow it. Instead, it means having a small portion for them to eat if desired, but it's also okay if they just look at the food the first time. Over time, they may add in more sensory experiences such as touching it, smelling it, and maybe even licking it. If they put it in their mouth but then spit it out, don't make a big deal about it. Knowing that they have the option to spit it out makes it more likely that they will be willing to try new foods. If you were trying out a strange new food and knew that if you didn't like it, you had to swallow it anyhow, you'd be much less likely to put it in your mouth at all. The same is true for your child. A child is also more likely to try a new food if they see a parent enjoying that food. But don't make a huge fuss like, "See how much mama likes broccoli?" They notice what you eat, and pointing it out in that way can make them feel like you're trying to force them to eat something that they're reluctant to try. Next belief: don't talk about foods you don't like in front of your child. This one is true. Many times a child has loved a type of food only to stop eating it entirely when they hear a parent or sibling declare that they don't like that food. At the table, it should be fine to decline to eat any food that's present, but it should not be allowed to declare that a food is smelly, slimy, or otherwise unpalatable. Likewise, avoid making statements such as, "I really shouldn't be eating this with my cholesterol problem," or "I can't afford the calories in this slice of bread." All your children are hearing in that is that certain foods are bad, and this could lead to eating disorders later in life. Make your food choices without declaring why you should or should not be eating them. Instead, use conversation to bring your family closer together, such as discussing the events of the day. Next belief: involving your children in the selection and preparation of meals can increase their likelihood of eating new foods. This statement is true for a couple reasons. First is that by helping pick out the foods from the garden or the store and then helping with the preparation, your child will likely be eager to have family members enjoying it as well as themselves, as they helped create the meal. Secondly, by touching, smelling, and perhaps even tasting the food during preparation, they're getting increased exposure to their senses so that the new smells and textures will not appear as foreign to them as if they had just sat down at the table and saw the food for the first time when it was offered for consumption. Next belief: offering dessert as a reward can be a good way to get them to try something new. This is a myth. First, it is never good to use food as either a reward or a punishment, as that can lead to eating disorders. Instead, it should be treated as what it is: fuel for the body. Secondly, your child should not feel pressured or bribed into trying new foods. They are not a bad child if they don't like a particular food. It is there as an option, and the more often they're exposed to it, the more likely they are to try it. Next belief: creative preparation can increase the likelihood of trying new foods. This is true. If you cut melon into stars or hearts with a cookie cutter, They're more likely to try it than if they are simply cut in squares. But if they only play with it and don't eat it, don't plead with them, "But I cut them into such cute little hearts." Let them progress naturally with the exposure process. By picking up the watermelon hearts, they're feeling them and smelling them, and that's a step in the right direction. Additionally, preparing food in a variety of ways may help them find a way they enjoy sooner than preparing it in the same way every time. Some may like zucchini raw, others may like it cooked. Some may like it with a dip, others may like it cooked as a noodle. If you do try to mix a new food with a food they already like, just don't try to fool them, as they may never trust macaroni and cheese again if they detect zucchini in it. It is not that you can't try mixing foods, just don't try to pass them off as the originals. Be forthright if they ask what it is and explain that it's zucchini macaroni and cheese. That way they can know that it's different from plain macaroni and cheese and can appropriately ask for each. Next belief. Using screens is a good way to distract your child so that they don't realize they're eating something that they don't like. Although parents will sometimes try this technique, this statement is a myth. While it is possible you may trick your child into eating something they don't like while they're busy watching cartoons, this is not a good way to do it. First is that it doesn't teach mindful eating. Children should be listening to their bodies to know if they're hungry or full, not mindlessly consuming while paying attention to the screen. Secondly, it takes away from the family conversation that is an important component of eating together. Thirdly, it is a way of tricking them into eating what you want them to eat rather than allowing them to make their own food choices. Next belief. It is best to avoid snacks and milk 2 hours before a meal, although water is fine. This statement is true. If they are already somewhat full when it's mealtime, they're less likely to be enticed by those new foods. Although every meal should include some safe foods that your child likes, it is fine to first serve the new food, as it may be more appealing if it's the first thing they see when they're hungry. However, you should not withhold the food that they like, waiting for them to try the new one. They both should be part of the same meal so that your child has options without pressure. Next belief. Picky eating can last into teenage years or adulthood. This statement is true. Perhaps the parents didn't know not to pressure their child, or they stopped exposing them to new foods because they thought they would never learn to like them. Well, it's never too late. With older children and teens, they may actually wish they liked more foods because it's embarrassing for them when they go to a friend's house and they don't like anything that's being served. By sharing with them the technique of repeated food exposure, you may find that they're more than willing to smell, touch, and maybe even take tiny tastes of new foods to see if they can learn to enjoy them. And by allowing them to help you plan and prepare meals, they're not only increasing their chances of liking new foods, but also developing an important life skill. Last belief. It is okay to let your child decide how much to eat at each meal. This statement is also true. Some days your child may be going through a growth spurt and eat a lot. Other days they may eat very little. It is your job to offer a variety of foods, but it is their job to determine how much to eat of each food, if any. If you have concerns about food allergies or food intolerances, discuss this with their doctor for further evaluation. But as long as their doctor says they are healthy and growing as expected, continue to offer healthy choices in the manner we discussed, and allow them to decide without pressure how much of each food they will eat. Typically, over time, they'll grow to enjoy a greater and greater variety of foods. And through it all, mealtimes can serve not as battlegrounds, but as family gathering times where food is shared with love in the events of the day. If you're finding value in these videos, please share them with someone you also think might benefit from them. And hit subscribe so that you'll be among the first to know when new content is released.